Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Coach Chat, and I'm Laurie Lawson, and my fantastic co-host is the amazing.
Could it be me, Bernie
It
Siegel?
is you. Yeah.
Hello. Thanks, Laurie.
Bernie Siegel. It is him. Let me tell you a little bit about Coach Chat. We here at Coach Chat feel that if you change your perspective, you can change your life. This show was set up for coaches and those interested in one of the fastest-growing professions in the world today. We hook you up with some of the world's leading coaches who share their expertise and give you tips and takeaways for expanding and improving your life and your business. And today we have longtime friend and coach affiliate, Terry Yoffe. Hey, Terry.
Hey there, Laurie. Hi, Bernie.
Hi.
Long-time friends.
Just like a convention of past New York City chapter
That's right.
presidents. I love it. Let me tell you a little bit about Terry. She is an executive transition and career coach. She has founded Terry Yoffe Enterprises as well as TRY Try Coaching. To be her super duper initials. I'm very jealous of that. How perfect is that? Try Coaching. She's a PCC, a professional certified coach with ICF. She's a certified coactive coach with CTI. She's the past president, like I said, of ICF NYC. She's also an affiliate member at the Institute of Coaching at McLean Hospital, Harvard Medical School affiliate. She was chosen to participate in the New York University Psychoanalytical Institute's fellowship program. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds good. Terry was recognized by Advertising Women of New York, AWNY, as the organization's 2012 Crystal Prism Award winner for her significant impact and contribution in the area of mentoring. So, Terry, thank you for being a guest on our show.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. So,
and Bernie, go for it.
Oh,
right. What I also wanted to let people know is, you did Laurie indirectly, but Terry, Laurie, and I were joined the ICF New York City chapter many years ago. Quite a dysfunctional chapter, actually. And after, I guess, a year or so, we really turned it into, I'll say, a well-functioning and like family. And I think of Terry and Laurie like my family. And Laurie followed in the footsteps of becoming president, and then Terry after her. So we go way back. And one of the things I wanted to ask, which is I'm almost embarrassed to say, but Terry, I don't really know how you got into coaching. So a lot of our listeners asked that question, and so if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey into to where you are today.
Oh my goodness! I'm going to say that in as little time as I can. So I was in advertising sales for many years, and I was in my own business for my first business. And when it was in advertising, and when that business, the landscape of advertising started to change, and I really didn't have a home, I had to think about where was I going to go next, what was I going to do. And I spent many years in therapy and thought, okay, now's a good time. I'm going to go back to school and become a therapist because I really love delving into the human mind, mine, but everyone's is the same. And when I realized that that wasn't really an avenue I wanted to pursue, I started to look around, and I literally stumbled upon coaching. I had never heard of it, but it really was in alignment with therapy. Even though it's different, it's still the same length and breadth of dealing with people and how to work with them. And so I started my coaching journey and really had to start in the basement, as I say, because I had to go back to school. I had to learn. I had to try and build a clientele base. I started on my journey of becoming a ACC, PCC after going to CTI, and then, of course, doing the certification with CTI to become certified. So, and I've been coaching for 16 years.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
That's my circuitous, actually.
Great.
journey into coaching.
That's a fantastic journey, and it's interesting because when Bernie and I were talking before the show, and I said, "Yeah, ask her because I want to know how she got started too." I love the journey. Everybody, I have a philosophy that coaching calls who it wants, and it's people get there from the different paths, but they do get there. Hallelujah! So that's a cool thing. So what are you specializing in now, Terry? And what changes have you made? Did you start out as an executive coach? Because I know I started out as something totally different and went through many transitions. What have you come to be, if that makes sense?
Well, I hate labels. And, my business cards say personal and professional development coach. So I really help people develop who they are, and whether they're an executive, whether they're a middle management, I think that the labels are just labels of, in all encompassing. I work with high-level business professionals to help them develop themselves, to see their blind spots, to see where they're stuck. I mean, as most coaches do, and to figure out how we can work together and partner. One thing I say is it's a partnership between me and my client. And it's all about partnering and figuring out how somebody can get from point A to point B. What's it going to take? And it's that in between is where the challenges lie. They know where they are. They may know where they want to get there. But what makes them unique in keeping them stuck in why they can't get there, where somebody else might skip there? So, and it's, for me, a two-pronged process, which is really looking at the outer landscape, the business landscape, and seeing what's going on, but then looking inside, because everything starts, every change, every transformation starts from the inside, and then working its way outward.
Terry, over the last couple of years, what have you seen to be, if there are any sort of major themes that are going on with your clients in terms of what their challenges are?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think that it's not business as usual. We've all heard of the acronym VUCA, VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I think that there's a lot of, even though the challenges may be the same as prior years, they're just different. We're moving at a much faster pace. Companies are requiring much more flexibility and adaptability and wearing many hats, and that can be very overwhelming for people, no matter where they are on the Richter scale of business. And it's really helping them figure out how they can, I did a blog on dancing on shifting sands. How can they try and be optimized and maximize their abilities while there's so many shifts taking place? And that's where I see the landscape has changed. People are expecting more of whatever it is they're doing. Maybe faster decisions. They have to speak up more. Communication is a big area that I work on with clients, because that is the number one asset of any company. How are you communicating in today's world?
But in today's world, do you see the value of one-on-one or direct communication lessening, or maybe not the use of it, maybe perhaps, because Bernie and I talk about this all the time with the digital age and people staring at their phones, and so how do you make communication a priority for your clients and get them interested in that?
Well, they would probably come to me for that specific reason. Doing presentations. How can they be better at it? And in today's business landscape, you usually have to get up and talk to people, whether you're doing a presentation, whether you have to influence people. Because communication is really about, effective communication is about influence, getting your ideas across so people want to run with them. How do you get up in front of people and talk in a way that everyone gets it, everyone understands it? If you're doing a presentation, how do you do it more effectively? If you've got a boss that doesn't listen or somebody that is quick to judge, how do you deal with every circumstance that comes up in the business world? And a lot of people don't know how to advocate for themselves. I get that more for women than for men, but I do get it. Or you got a boss that's intimidating. How do you deal with them?
Yeah, Terry, there's so many. I mean, I've been seeing it the last couple of years because of, companies are resource stretched. Basically, they fired people right over the last decade, and now they're kind of stuck. And what I'm seeing an environment of is a lack of training. Companies cut back on training because that's easy. And now you've got these people, and it's just anecdotal, but it seems to be people I run across in my business that just don't have leadership best practice skills, don't have the social skills, and are somewhat lost, frustrated. And what do you see out there?
All of the above.
There you go.
No, truly, all of the above. I have had a client who was a lawyer with a company and came to me for communication, and she moved to a new company, a really big company, and no onboarding. And it was very precarious how she had to maneuver that the people that were there were upset she was there and they didn't give her information, and she had to stand her ground to figure out how, because she was chosen for the next level when the key person left. And no onboarding, none whatsoever. So we had to work on her frustration and how to stay in the game and how to speak up and had to create her presence. So, yes, and leadership skills in a big company like this, none, where she was. None. A didn't know what B was doing. And that is so common that people don't really understand what it means to be an authentic, real leader and what goes into it. Maybe more and more companies are trying to get there with emotional intelligence and the soft skills, which are really more important than hard skills. So it is turning, but it's taking a while, and people don't know how to communicate for whatever the reasons. They don't.
It's interesting because I think 2008 put a whole shade on the business world because suddenly people were afraid to speak up because everybody was losing their job and they were afraid to be innovative. It's like, let me just hunker down. And so that they've got that spell. And then you've got the fact that you don't, how many times – I'm guilty. I don't pick up the phone. I'd much rather email you or text you and be done with it. I don't want to chat. What's chatting? So we don't know. So I'm amazed that people still come to you and go, "Wow, I need to hone on my skills here, and because I got to do a presentation." And I hope that PowerPoint, because that's another cop out. It's like just talk. People like to be talked to.
But also,
go ahead.
No, that's all right. But in line with what we're talking about, emails, when you think of emails, forget texting, it's very difficult to know what's coming across, right? In an email, it's not the same as a phone call where somebody can explain themselves. I mean, you can get an email and you can think 12 ways from Sunday, what is this person trying to say? Because it may come across as angry, it may come across as passive, it may come across as benign. The tone of the email is another form of communication. To be really clear, if you just had a bad feedback or a run-in, you don't want to run to your desk and put an email together. Because you know how the tone of that's going to come across.
Mm-hmm.
And people are always so reactive and knee-jerk. I got to go do this right now. Instead of taking a day and really thinking through, what do I want to say? How do I want this to come across? It's the same as talking.
Good point.
Getting your message out. How are you doing that? If your boss has had a bad hair day, you don't want to go in and have a conversation. You wait.
Terry, I don't totally agree, but I say to clients that email is the most dangerous form of communication because people will default, their brain defaults to the negative. So even if there isn't something there that is meant to be negative, they may look for something.
Right.
And it starts such trouble. Now, I'm not a texter. I don't really understand the concept of 24/7 where people feel they have to, for texting, they have to write right away, right? Emails, they say, I could think about it, but texting, no. And I asked my partner, how come you have to write in 5 seconds? Can't you think about it? No, everyone expects you to write back. Quickly. So I'm not a texter. I don't really get all that. But the emails, I agree with you. And once you lose trust, once you have a problem with someone who's used an email, it's really hard to build it back up. I would say.
Well, there's yes. If you think through what you're putting on paper and you read it before sending it out and really think it through and look at it and send it out, and then if the person receiving it doesn't get it, see, that then becomes they have choices. Right? The choice is they can perceive it the way they want to perceive it, which could be totally wrong, and answer based on what they think. Or alternatively, they can go in to face somebody and say, hey, I got this. I'm not sure how do I interpret it. And right away you get the confusion cleaned up. And that's part of what people don't do. I cannot tell you how many people cannot have direct communication. I have friends that skulk away from situations or business situations because they don't want to deal with talking to somebody. And that is such a deficit in the world today of business. So much gets miscommunicated in many different ways. I have a pet thing about that.
Yeah. Me too. I think talking is a lost art, and with the texting, I'm not a fan of it either. And you don't even have to use words. You use emojis, and I don't know what half of them mean. I just, I like that guy. Yeah, I'll put him in there. I don't know what they all mean.
I don't know how many people actually text for business. I do it all the time with my family because that's how they text. They're young, or people that are, friends. I have never had a business experience where maybe a client has texted me to talk, and I'll answer back if it's a client. But if I'm having a complimentary coaching consultation, I don't do it through a text. I do it in person. So I reserve my text for very different things than business. Unless a client...
No, I know people
me.
who actually have businesses on, only on Instagram, which requires. So it's just, I think we're behind the times, but I like it a little bit. It's like I want to be where I
am on Instagram, and I do put things up a lot, but it's not. I don't sell my business services on an Instagram.
Okay.
Or any of that. I think here's my take. There's a time and a place for each of these ways of communicating. And if you're smart, you know which avenue is right for which situation.
I was working with a client, and this is just recent, and I was finding that he wasn't responding to my emails in a timely manner. Sometimes it would take him days. And I said to him, if you're doing that to me, you're probably doing it to others in business.
Right.
And I doubt it's appreciated. I think you should acknowledge any email that somebody sends you. And if you find you're getting emails you don't think you need to get, you should deal with that first, obviously. And then he started to send me a thumbs up. And I never got one before. So I sent an email, and I got this, just a thumbs up. And I was speaking to him, just literally yesterday, and I said, Eric, that's pretty effective, actually, that thumbs up. It made me feel pretty good that you acknowledged that you got it, that you felt, maybe you agreed with it and were thanking me. I said, I would say you could use that with your, with people that your colleagues. They probably would appreciate that more than you ignoring them. And so I shared that with you because I thought it was kind of funny getting thumbs ups.
That's very funny. But, communication is such a big part of how I work with clients. They go into situations. They want to know how's the best way to approach a person, a situation, and we work through it. What options? What do you know? And if you go with options, I could do this, I could do that, they come up with their own of how to deal. You're right, today's young people, they don't have a lot of interfacing. And I think it becomes very difficult when they have to go out on job interviews.
I think so too, and I don't know. Maybe eventually the interview will become obsolete too. Who knows?
They do a lot by phone nowadays.
By phone, resumes are a thing of the past, or if they are out there, they're computer read. Nobody really reads them. A computer sorts them out, and then but profiles are the hot thing now. But and it's changing, and as you say, dancing on shifting sands. But when you say you work with your clients to come up with the best way to approach, do you use their skills or the person's skill or the knowledge that you have of the person that they're approaching, or a combination?
Both.
How do you work that out?
I think I wouldn't know who they're talking to, but depending on if they're coming up with a situation, right, how do they deal with a situation? And they may have to use a whole new set of skills to deal with whatever the situation is. See, and that's where people can sometimes make assumptions about things. Well, she comes into work and looks blah, blah, therefore I'm guessing she's not a nice person. That's an assumption. You have no idea. And that's what I'll say. So tell me, is this the truth or is this do you know this for a fact? Oh, no. Okay. So you don't really know the truth? No. Okay, then you're dealing. So what I think I'm hearing is an assumption. Yes. And right there, they're admitting they don't know. And they're ready to go charging in based on something of their belief. How do you shift that? How do you change it? How can they go with their best foot forward? What is it they need to get from a situation? What's the desired outcome they're looking for in that communication? So they don't ramble. who is the person they're going to talk to.
That's so valuable, Terry, and that's what I think coaching brings to the table, because you're right, people have these assumptions, or I'll call them limiting beliefs.
Right,
they don't really know, but
Mm-hmm.
they limit them, and they think it's normal to just emotionally react because that's what all their friends do and their family does. And here we are to tell them, we actually try to peel it back and the onion and find out there's nothing to what you're thinking about. How about you ask them? How about you just go over and ask?
Right.
You know, and they're shocked. Well, you could tell that no one ever discussed that with them before.
Right, and that's where direct communication comes in. You know, we come down to the ICF core competencies. Direct communication.
Partner.
Right.
Yep.
How do you, and people are so afraid of that, to be direct. They you know, circle the campfire, if you will, or they don't, or they go away believing a faulty idea or a limited belief in what took place, and then they go from there, and it's totally not the right path to go down. And then they wonder, well, I don't understand. You know, like, duh. It's mind-boggling, you know, and I'm sure we know this in coaching, to watch people and to hear them. And, you know, you then can say, no wonder why they're stuck in whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not making anyone wrong at all. It's just what's so.
It's what's so, but I think people are also afraid to voice an opinion sometimes. They're also afraid to ask. It's like,
right.
I want, you know, I don't understand. I don't want to ask. I want to pretend I understand, and I'll try to figure it out. Whereas, so I always took the thought that, you know, that your boss is there to give you knowledge. So if he's got some, get it. Go get it from him. And,
exactly.
You know, but I think that's where coaching comes in, because you need a core, a strong self-image before you can do that. It's like asking a question is not going to make you look dumb. It's going to really make you look more intelligent, because you have enough sense to know that you don't know. You know.
And that's true. But people feel, again, an assumption they make, it will make me look stupid. It will make me look dumb. I don't want to show up that way. Therefore, I'll try to interpret on my own what was being said. And, of course, sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't.
Right.
So if you had to give advice... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bernie. I jumped in. I'm sorry. I was getting on.
No, go ahead, Laurie.
I was just going to say, if you had to give advice to people about about the most important thing about communication, what would it be?
Be aware of what you're saying. Be your own watchdog. You know, communication is not just talking. It's not about talking. It's about talking intelligently and being aware of what you're saying. How are you saying it? Is your message going to get across? Listening. You know, most people think talking is regurgitating words and getting it out. That's not what it's about. And how do you talk to somebody? Whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, still respect what they have to say.
And I would add to that, listening also seems to be a lost art. And part of that communication is listening to the other person.
Right, exactly.
And not talking so much.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. And the one thing, Laurie, you forgot to mention was we do a TV show together.
Oh, yes, we do. The coaching games and coaches creating change. We sure do. And speaking of talking too much, we've almost done that because we're almost out of time.
Oh, my goodness. I want to thank you.
Wow.
I want to thank you. This really went quickly. If you want to find out more about Terry, go to TRYCoaching, trycoaching.com, and you'll find all about some of the stuff she does. So thank you, Terry, for being a fantastic guest.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie, for being a fantastic co-host. And we'll see you again next month. Take care, everybody.
Thank you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.